of kashrut, you already understand the three different categories of living beings: fowl, fish, and beasts, each with their own individual characteristics, can be determined to be kosher or non-kosher dependent upon those characteristics. You know those very well. The only way for you as the consumer to know that one of those animals, after it has been properly killed, is still kosher is to determine that it's got a kosher symbol called a hechsher on it. A hechsher is like a U with an O around it. There are other symbols as well that determine that a thing is kosher. But just because you're buying a hamburger and you know it's from a cow does not make it kosher. It has to be properly killed, has to be killed by a shochet, has to have the blood drained off, has to have to be internally inspected, and therefore anything off the shelf that you buy that was once living can't be deemed kosher unless you see an insignia that already is kosher. And you saw in the reading that there are 4 different reasons that they give in the book for us observing kashrut. The word kosher means fit or appropriate. If not kosher, not appropriate, not fit for a Jewish person to eat, or for that matter, drink. And it's a spiritual affect. It's something that we do because we want to be close to God. It's a communal affect because we're close to our brethren in our community, we're supportive of our community. It's spiritually healthy. It's connective all around. I'm not going to go through all the specific laws of kashrut because you've read the chapter, we've discussed this, you've read other things on it as well, so you know pretty well. I want to draw your attention really to a few small things which are of specific importance. We also separate meat from milk. For reasons laid out, I'm not going to review them again here, you should know them from the reading. But milk and meat are always to be kept separate. One nuance of this law is that you can eat dairy before meat and leave a hiatus of a half an hour or so, rinsing out your mouth, making sure there's nothing adhering to your teeth or inside of your gums. But you can never eat dairy after meat. Dairy before meat, dairy after meat, you have to wait a minimum of 3 hours. Also, all the meat and dairy items in your home need to be separated. Dairy goes on dairy plates. Meat goes on meat plates. We don't put meat on dairy plates and vice versa. Should you get that mixed up, look in the book to determine how you rectify a mistake like that. In order to fully kosher your kitchen to begin with, the stove needs to be koshered, the oven needs to be koshered, the plates need to be kosher if they can be koshered. Some things can never be made kosher. Things that are made out of clay, for example, can't be koshered. Metal can be, plastic cannot be, wood cannot be. But you can talk about those things individually with me. What can and what cannot be kosher. Microwave needs to be made kosher as well. If you cook a dairy thing in it first, and then you want to use it to warm up a hamburger, a kosher hamburger afterwards, the microwave has to be kosher in between. Dishwasher. Milk and meat do not go in the same dishwasher together. So there's a lot of different aspects to this. The word parv also is important. Parv means it can be used for either one. Parv means it doesn't have any meat in it, doesn't have any dairy in it, can be used for either. But if something is parv, it's parv because it's an apple or an orange or a celery stick, or it's parv because when you bought it from the supermarket it says P-A-R-E-V-E on it, indicating that it can be used for either one. What is most important is to remember that kashrut is a way of life. Kashrut is an attitude towards everything we eat. It is also blessing the foods before we eat it. The food is not kosher unless you bless it. You say hamotzi lechem min haaretz before you eat bread, and it encompasses the rest of the meal. Or if you're not eating bread, you say borei pri ha'etz, or whatever blessing it is over the thing that you're eating. Eitz is for tree, like an apple, an orange. Adamah would be a carrot. Look in the back of the Siddur to indicate to you which blessings for which things. But kashrut is something that filtrates through every avenue of everything that we do. And one last comment. When it comes to Pesach, Passover, the rules of kosher also apply, but they're really hyper rules. They're far more stringent than the rules of regular kashrut during the year. When you kosher your home for Passover, It is as if everything in the house is not kosher. Despite the fact that you've kept milk and meat separate and you've only bought kosher meat and kosher cheese and stuff like that, it doesn't matter. On Passover, we treat the whole house as if we're reconverting it over to a new brand of kashrut. And we'll talk about that when we talk about Passover. Good luck with this reading.